around the world, we find people who are already advocates of our product. And what we do is we give them our product for free, we educate them, we allow them to be ambassadors for our business. They'll have our account. If there's any conferences that they can go and speak at, we'll pay for them to go to the conferences and talk on our behalf. We're basically having those people in their own language. And again, what we're trying to do is get them ahead of the curve so that they have more information than everybody else. So what we did to them, in this case, is we gave them beta access to our new functionality. We gave them some inside knowledge and feedback. We also let them see the go-live text that was coming out and the pictures. So again, we were trying to give them an edge. And again, it's probably a dozen of them. We do write newsletters, but this is where timing becomes very, very important. When we write our newsletter, we do not send our newsletter out until after the story is broken. Obviously you can't, because otherwise it'll link to a dead page, but we make sure it waits for a few days, a week, something like that, for the information to to embed in. So our newsletter has a very large number of people, six-figure list, but we write short articles in our newsletter that link to our landing page, so that they've got to go back to our landing page to read the article. And we send it, well, at least 24 hours, and usually we send it around about a week after the initial announcement. We also are lucky enough to have partners. So one of our marketing towers is that our technology goes into a lot of other products out there, and we give them a lot of information. We also give them access to the API so that they can build products on top of our data that we're coming out with. We give them a lot more notice than most people, but then they do pay us a lot of money for that privilege. But they also can provide us independent verification that what we've come out with is indeed new, is indeed exciting to our community that we work in. So we're trying to create here, hopefully, a second wave of interest, so that it's not just us coming out with an announcement and then it goes dead. We want other people to start talking about it and working on that research, that data, researching it, and then coming up with interesting stories long after we launched. Some other towers that you probably have, and you could certainly easily utilize, a webinar date. We set up a webinar date for a few weeks after the launch so that those that are interested can get much more engaged. We have a YouTube video that goes out afterwards. We also try and break out stories around the conference circuit, as we have today. We became a search engine today, but it's a different story. So, then the timing becomes very, very important. I don't know if this goes, oh no. So our timing is important. Weeks before we tell people about the API, we come out with the beta, we have the vision of what we're trying to do. About a week before, we're talking to influencers, the big journalists in our sector, not the head of the BBC, not the head of the Guardian, but in our sector, the people that are influential in our sector. And we're also talking to our ambassadors, giving them a heads up. On the day of the launch, most of our strategy is social, tweeting, sending out information through Twitter, Facebook, that kind of information. And then the week after, we'll send out the newsletter. And then weeks after that, we're backing things up with training, support, engaging people from that initial information. Now, you may think, well, that's all very logical and marketing orientated, and it absolutely is. But put it in this order, it has a huge difference to what happens on the search engines. So with this particular campaign, and it was about 18 months ago, but not much has changed in the world if you're doing it in this kind of way, the results were very, very staggering. The first thing is, when I actually launched, I was doing a training session, so I couldn't actually pay attention when I was launching. So I actually had to multitask. And so I set my WordPress up to launch the blog at midday, as I'd promised the bloggers and stuff. At 1 minute past midday, State of Search, which is an influential blog in our industry, came out with a massive, great big article covering all the information that was pertinent. Within a day or two, we had all these websites here, all writing huge articles about the new product and functionality that we got. So these guys had already written something in advance. They just were waiting for us to announce it so that it was relevant to their audience. So that people are starting to hear from these guys. Because no one wants to hear from me. What they want to hear from is the industry pundits. And if Google hears from these people, and they hear from 5 different people, and all these 5 different people are linking back to the source of the original information, it's up to Google to make a mistake. Google can't get this wrong. If Google's going to get this wrong, then it's Google's at fault. We also were able to get links out in other languages. So we were international. So this is sprawlingmarketing.pl, Polish blog. The other one behind is in Spanish. So these came out also within 24, 48 hours as well. So we were getting not thousands of links, dozens of links And all of those links are from very, very key people in our industry. And you can do the same. You can find those people on Twitter very, very easily. This site belongs to our competitor. It's a company called Moz. Some of you will have heard of them. And it's a site they've got. And Danny Sullivan, who is one of my Dannies on the original list, he put it on inbound.org, which is a competitor's site. So now I've got a link from my competitor's website. That's absolutely great to me. And then the story tends to unfold in ways that I don't necessarily anticipate. This is Reddit, which I don't personally use, but somebody put something up there. Unfortunately, what they put up there was Secret Agent Dad said, "It's bloody fucking brilliant. This is not stuff fancy math hooky." Took the story into a little bit of a dirty world that I wouldn't want to have gone to. However, it's talking to an audience that's important, and you have to accept the message is going to get changed. Has anybody come across Google Ripples? Just one. Okay, Google Ripples is interesting. On Google Plus, there's a thing called Google Ripples. If you have a story and lots of people retweet it or reshare it on Google Ripples, it will show you who's been talking about it and how influential they are and how many people have heard the story. So Google Ripples was starting to bubble along quite nicely, and some of these people are quite influential. But the most important thing, of course, forget SEO for a second, is how many people came to our blog. And they came to the story, and they flocked to the story. It was new content. The industry heard about it. They came and looked and wanted more. And then a year later, so it's about 18 months ago now, we are very much owning the terms. So even though there's a company called Flowmetrics, we pretty much own positions 1, 3, 4, and own the search engines. And how could Google say otherwise? How could Google say otherwise? Of course, flowmetrics.com deserves to be in the search results for Flowmetrics. But apart from that, we are, we believe, unique and have something of value to say. We created a new term. So, success for us was not in random planning. And all of our SEO is not in random planning. It is not, however, trying to force the issue. It is not trying to bludgeon your way up to the top of the search engines. It's trying to coordinate your brand values, your messaging with search and feeding the beast called Google. So search and social combined in this instance, and SEO was and is a result of using social networking to engage with the influencers on the day. It does help that we had a base of 40,000 primary Twitter followers, and that does help. And whether you've got that or some other method to get out to a crowd, that's great. We also have, although I couldn't talk about it in the time, seamless integration with Facebook and with Google. And you can do that with tools like, there's 3 I've mentioned here. Social Oomph was the first one I ever used, which allows you to start retweeting your blog feeds out very easily. There's another one that's more advanced called Hootsuite, which will allow you to look at different social profiles next to each other. And the one I'm using at the moment is a North London-based company called Sendable, and I quite like them. I like their layout. But all of them, we're trying to integrate the social media system, so when I do a blog post, I don't then have to worry about tweeting it and Facebooking it and LinkedIn it and talking about it on all of those. It'll do all that for me. I use LinkedIn as well to inform my key contacts, and then afterwards I use YouTube to force home and educate people that were aware and bring them down the sales funnel from awareness to engagement to hopefully being a customer. So, to start off your SEO campaign, work with some sound marketing principles, put them in the right order, feed your idea and make sure your idea is original, and that's how you get to the top of the search engines. Thank you very much. I'm happy to ask some questions. Because we started early, we've got 10 minutes, which is great. Has anybody got any questions that I can answer? Okay, if it's one I can't answer, I'm having you sacked. So SEO and pay-per-click increasingly overlap, but they don't from the argument of direct search results. So on Google in particular, and I assume most people are more interested in Google than Bing, although every computer in my house has a default page of Bing, and you should make your kids work on Bing. Spread the love. But it's fairly obvious on a good day where Google is giving you paid results and where it's giving you organic results. And increasingly, the results are showing paid across the top and down the side and pretty well everywhere but the organic results. So I wouldn't underestimate PPC. But it doesn't come directly into their algorithm for Google. However, there are some side effects. For example, if your listing is seen in the organic results and there's a paid result, you as a human being click in your head and say, okay, I see it twice. You may not even see it twice on the page consciously, but subconsciously you will. Your click-through rate on both those results will be significantly higher because you've already had 2 touch points. So the advertiser, so to speak, has had 2 touch points with you than 1. So quite a lot of statistics, usually coming from the PPC side because they want to sell money, are saying that the click-through rate increases. Certainly what happens is that people click on brand. And that is very much true, and everything that I've tried to do today is talking to building a brand for your business. And so it costs you less to advertise on brand because your competitors can't easily advertise on your brand, it's unique to you. And if they see a brand on the page, then they're more, in the organic results, they're more likely to click on that as a result of knowing your brand. But they might have known your brand through PPC or through advertising or through any other way. So pay-per-click is a valid part of the marketing mix. It doesn't directly affect the organic results most of the time, but there's indirect effects of any marketing and any branding. Yeah? Unless anyone wants to disagree. No. Except him, he's not allowed to disagree. Any other questions that I can help anybody with? If I'll just do my plug now, whilst I've got 30 seconds. If anybody would like to use Majestic SEO, I don't know if has everyone been zapped? Because if you've been zapped, I've probably got your email address anyway. But if you want to have a trial, our stand's there, and we've got a 30-day free trial and demos over there as well. But on to questions. So the question was, the people that I contacted, did I know them? Had I talked to them before them? Not only had I talked to them beforehand, I travelled around the world and had meals with them, drinks with them, coffee with them, discussions with them. Every single one of the people that I've contacted, I have got to know on a personal basis. And that's a function of just trying to be as best you can within your industry. And you will know people in your industry. You may not yet know the bloggers or the influential people in your industry, but you can start with Twitter. You can then engage with them on LinkedIn. You can then impress them with your intelligence by giving them some useful insight that they can use. Give to them, and then eventually they will give back to you. So yes, you don't have to go and visit all of them, but I found it was cheaper to do that. Any other questions? Okay. In that case, guys, I hope that you got something out of it. Thank you ever so much. If you'd like a demo of Majestic SEO, that'd be great. Cheers.